Welcome to the Media Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
I want to finish your text there, Kenton, before we get started. There we go.
Shutting down.
How did the first comedy night go for you? Last night being Sunday.
Yes, yesterday was the first Cree comedy night of two.
And they'll be long done by the time this episode airs, but that's okay.
They'll be long. It's sold out anyway, so
yeah.
Nobody can buy tickets. Though that doesn't stop people from emailing me and texting me 5,000 times a day.
I'm sure.
Asking me, are they really sold out? And then I go, yeah, they really are, and then I just make people twice as mad. But yesterday was it was great. It was a great first night. The students did great. I would say it was the most consistent night of comedy that we've ever done.
Oh.
I've been doing these shows now for, I don't know, it's 12, 13 years probably.
Yeah.
Something like that. And yet last night's was as smooth flowing as they get, and it was really hilarious. And I saw the unicorn that I've never seen before show up at comedy night, and that's a young man tell original penis jokes.
Oh my goodness!
Never happened before. It'll probably never happen again. But they were actual original ones I'd never heard before.
Wow!
And I was like, and they were funny.
Oh, good.
I have
good
to
for him.
I have to admit it when I'm wrong. I tell them now. Don't go near there. Don't ever talk. But somebody had a new spin on it.
There you go.
It was funny.
All right. Well, I'm going tonight, so I look forward to seeing the lineup tonight. And I think it's gonna be a great time. It is always a great time. I think, regardless of the actual talent.
Beer. That doesn't matter. Beer is served.
Yes. And everyone's getting together and having a good time. Very supportive audience.
Will you be a judge tonight?
Sure, I'll be a judge. I love judging students. It's my second favorite thing to do.
That's perfect.
First being this podcast.
We judge people on this podcast.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Speaking of judging people, this has nothing to do with that, but let's get into the nerd news.
All right.
So first story, the iPhone X dropped on Friday.
The 10.
Sorry,
pronounced the X.
Everybody I know is calling it the X.
Know.
Everybody's saying the X.
And in the New York Times, it actually said the iPhone, and it had letter X, and in brackets it said it's pronounced 10, not EX. So they actually spelled it out. Don't pronounce it that way. They're telling the readers, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's been picked up. Everyone's calling it the X. That's what happens when you switch from a numbering system to a Roman numeral.
Like Super Bowl Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
L-I.
It's like we know the Roman numerals never work for anything except for Star Wars movies. That's pretty much all we get. So anyway, it dropped on the weekend. Very popular. This is the one people seem to be excited about. People were lining up outside of Apple stores as usual. That didn't happen for the 8. Actually, it hasn't happened for a few years widespread. So this is the first one in a couple of years that's been really, really anticipated. And actually, Billy pointed out to me, Billy from Shaw TV here pointed out that probably a lot of those people are resellers. So I imagine probably, and I was watching a vlog about it, and this guy, was Casey Neistat, was interviewing people in the line in New York City, and they said, yeah, about half of them are resellers. People are wanting to buy. One guy's like, I'm gonna buy one for myself and buy one to resell on whatever it is, eBay or whatever. So they're gonna jack up the prices and make a profit. Basically, get yourself a free phone, I guess. Probably pays for the cost of the other one.
Yeah, probably in the short term.
Yeah. So,
but it's the usual. I was talking about this in advertising class last week about how Apple forgoes the whole supply and demand thing by manufacturing its own demand.
Right.
We'll just produce, we control the supply, so we'll manufacture the demand, and they can, it's like with the flick of a switch, they can get people to stand in line waiting outside there.
Yeah, but again, it has not happened like this for I can't remember the last time it happened. Maybe the 6, because the 6 was the first one to kind of break out of that format. It was a lot bigger. They had the 6 Plus, so maybe the 6 had that reaction, but I can't remember.
And I noticed they also had their it's also good publicity for Apple, which is they had the case of stolen phones on Friday that everybody's waiting in line and everybody, for the phone, and then somebody made off with them. I think it might have been Los Angeles made off, and they made off with $300,000 worth of iPhone 10s, and when you do the math, you're like, 300 iPhones, because that's how expensive they are.
That's right.
They're a fortune. So it's like not as big as it sounds when you first hear it.
Yeah.
So it's like a box. Somebody stole a box of iPhones. So they had their theft. They had the people waiting in line. They had the manufacturer demand with the supply that they themselves controlled. And
Samsung released an ad. Have you seen the Samsung ad?
I heard about it.
Okay, so I'll post this on our social media spaces so people can see in case. Samsung hasn't gone this route in a few years either, but they've often. I remember back when I think it was the 6 where they took the headphone jack from up at the top and moved it to the bottom. And they made this joke about people waiting in line for the iPhone, and the guy's like, no, the headphone jack's in the bottom. And he made this joke. Anyway, this is another one making fun of Apple users, and they see this guy. It basically shows the story of this guy who buys an iPhone in 2007 when he first comes out, and he waits in line every year and gets a new one every year, and you can see him kind of going along, and then he's like interacting with other people who have Samsung devices, and they can do a lot more on their Samsung device than he can do on his Apple device. And his girlfriend, I think it was there's one part where they get pushed into a lake and his phone is killed because it gets in the water. You see him throw it in a bowl of rice, and his girlfriend's is fine because she has a Samsung and all this other stuff. So it's just one of those funny kind of Samsung mocking iPhone users, and it makes me wonder why they decided to kind of come back to this. Maybe because they're worried about the iPhone X kind of outpacing them for sales.
Well, Apple's getting its mojo back, but it's a bad lesson for Apple, which is the more luxurious the device gets and the more expensive it is, the greater the demand at least the optics of the people waiting in line outside the Apple store. And so now they're like, oh, that's how you do it. Luxury goods.
Yeah.
And so now I think we're going to see higher price points starting soon. That'll be their positioning moving forward, at least for that product line. But I mean, the phone, like looking at people holding the phone and stuff, I'm looking forward to actually seeing what it looks like, because it does appear to sort of have that quality to it, where it's like you want to see it in person to sort of check it out again. And it's been a while since we've had a phone.
Exactly. Yeah, they've all been pretty much the same for the last few years. This is the first one that's really gotten people excited.
And it's mostly the design. I don't think the talking. I noticed that the talking emoji today, that people are now they're syncing it up with news stories and stuff. So Keith Olbermann tweeted a picture of the cat emoji with Trump's famous "grab him by the bleep" on the bus. On the bus, they had Trump's voice from that video with the emoji telling the story.
Okay.
So that's already syncing up, and I can sort of see a whole. Well, we'll probably get sick of it in a month, but I can see like a sort of a new animated parodies of absolutely anything based on the ability to do that.
Yeah,
I didn't know you could do it.
No, I know, and of course they have the Face ID to unlock and stuff like that. So, I mean, we'll see how good that works out to be. We talked about this when they announced it, that's only as good as somebody who has a face, and somebody could hold it up to your face and unlock it, as opposed to it's more difficult to get somebody to put their finger on the thumbprint button. My thumbprint thing won't even work if my finger's wet.
Really?
If my finger's wet, I've just like washed my hands and maybe I didn't dry off my thumb enough. This has happened.
I forgot to dry my thumb.
I forgot to dry my thumb. This has happened to me. If I'm in a rush, I'm like, okay, my thumb's still a little bit wet, and I try to unlock it and it won't work. It has to be clean, clear thumbprint to get it to open. So I still feel pretty secure in having that on my phone. So I don't know how much better the Face ID
Well,
would
see
be.
how secure you'll feel when someone's trying to cut your face off so they can open your phone.
That's right.
Cut your face off. Get it. All I have to do is get this guy. I can bring the phone to this guy's face. I can bring the face to this guy's phone.
Right.
Either way, it works. It'll work.
Okay. Moving on from faces. Next story. This is actually more of a local story, but I want to talk about it because it relates to cons and conventions, and it's something I'm involved in, so I take interest in this. Last weekend was C4, the Central Canada Comic Con happened at the convention center. Was it last weekend? Sorry, 2 weekends ago. Sorry, it's Monday again, so I'm getting mixed up. So it was the weekend of the 27th through the 29th, just before Halloween, as it is every year. And since then, there have been a number of blog posts from various artists who attended the con who were not happy with their experience. Well, there's one here. This is the blog post. C4 Winnipeg, the worst convention I've ever attended. And that is the one that got it all started. This is by this is on Two Gargoyle Comics. I'm not sure where they're from. They're not from Winnipeg, though. They had to travel in from wherever they're from, New York or some kind of a. No, I want to say. So it doesn't say where they're from. But yeah, they came in, they got a space. And I'll post a link on their Facebook page. It's a huge, long story about the entire weekend and how awful it was. Now, some of it was stuff that didn't have to do with C4, such as they were scared of our downtown area, which is not good. They said they were being followed by someone who looked sketchy, and then his buddy flashed a box cutter, and the guy took off or something. I'm like, oh,
every
lovely.
time anytime something vaguely bad happens to me, I blame downtown.
That's exactly
no matter where I am.
Right.
I blame downtown. Even if I'm in the suburbs, I blame downtown.
But regardless, this post has kind of gone viral among people in the community who are kind of looking at this, and it's kind of blown up this discussion about C4 and is it a good convention and how much better can it be. And we've discussed it on this podcast as well, given my past experience with that organization, and I worked for them for a year and tried to help them become a better convention.
But are all the complaints based on that stuff, or is it based on the internal?
It's based mostly on the internal organization.
Okay.
So it's on the volunteers were not trained properly. They did not get the space they asked for. They're treated rudely by the staff. You wouldn't believe it. All kinds of stuff that you read this and you go, well, that kind of sounds right for that con. Like that's like no, I don't think a lot of people were surprised. But then in the posts that I've seen on Facebook, there have been tons of discussions. Our friend, I don't think we've ever had him on the podcast, but I'd like to have him on. Kid Remington, who's a cosplayer and pretty well known in the local cosplay scene. He posted it on his Facebook page, and everybody, the discussion is still going strong. I commented on it or liked something, and then I keep getting notifications every day that new people are posting on it. So the conversation is still going strong a week and a half later about this thing. And that's prompted a couple more blog posts. So yeah, it's just something interesting to take a look at. It looks like people are kind of finally starting to say they're fed up with C4. I know many people who did not do well in Artist Alley who are not going to go back next year.
So was the attendance down? Do we know?
We don't know. I suspect so because we've not heard about it.
And I did not go. So
no, and I did. This is the first time in a couple of years that I've gone. Really the first time in 2 years that I've been able to go just as an attendee, because last year I didn't go. The year before I was working for them, so I didn't get to see much other than the theater where I was working. And yeah, it was like, honestly, with my experience, I walked through and I took the kids and we kind of split up so that everyone could go see their own thing. Artist Alley was very cool. I like seeing all that cool kind of art and crafting and everything that everyone does. But it was very slow compared to the vendors area. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Like,
I actually think the Artist Alley has grown in recent years.
Yeah, it has.
And that's the problem. So too much. Maybe.
Well, maybe, but and then I mean,
but
they're
the
very
vendors, people go there to buy stuff.
Varying local, and that was some of the arguments I saw in a lot of these threads. Is that people saying it's a comic convention. People go there to buy comics and collectibles. Okay, sure, but. These days, a Comic-Con is supposed to be like celebrity guests and panels and all kinds of stuff that we see in other cons, San Diego and other big cons. And so and there's the people are saying that C4 isn't delivering that. Who else did I see there? I went to do the only thing I did that was kind of cool was I did the DeLorean. I got the picture taken with the DeLorean. It's so cool. It's such a neat replica. The guy's done such a good job, and Luke loved it. Luke got on the hoverboard. There's a hoverboard beside it. So Luke got on the hoverboard, and he really enjoyed that. And the cool thing about that is that all the money raised goes to Parkinson's research, because they tour the country like raising money for Michael J. Fox's charity. So that's really cool, and that was a great thing to do. Other than that, Jack bought a practice knife, a rubber knife.
What?
I don't know.
To practice what?
I don't know. That's what I said.
Cutting people's faces off for the iPhone 10. I told you.
That's what
I told you.
I asked him the exact same thing. I'm like, "What do you want?" He's texting me, going, "Dad, you have to come here. I need permission to buy something." I'm like, "Okay, well, hold on." So I go over to where he is, and I'm like, "Why do you need this?" And he's like, "Just I need a practice knife." And that's what I said. To practice what?
And what did you say?
He said, "Just to practice, just to have it to." I'm like, okay.
Is
fine.
he throwing it?
No, I don't know. He just holds it. He just holds it. I don't know what he does.
Stabbing motions? What is it?
He's really kind of getting into the replica weapon stuff. He saw on a different store, he saw a replica of a Legends of Zelda shield, like the actual shield that Link holds, and he wants that for Christmas. So we'll see.
So he's a future cosplayer.
There you
probably.
go.
That seems to be going in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's where he's ending.
Which one of your kids bought the giant crayon? Was that the same?
That was Jack.
One?
Yeah, that was
okay,
Jack.
Yeah,
same
yeah.
one.
That's right. So his purchases are always kind of like you're always kind of wonder what's he up to. He wanted the giant crayon. Remember you said you could buy anything you want in the Mall of America, and for him it was the giant crayon.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
But you said I love that. Yeah. I have not forgotten about it because I think about it from time to time and go, why? Why did a kid want a giant crayon? But he wanted to bring it to school.
He did.
So he did. Was it the hit that he thought it was?
I don't know.
Because maybe he's just gotten older and he's like, rubber knife.
But he's not allowed to bring that to school. Like,
no rubber knife.
Not allowed to bring anything like that to school. So they even had to wrap it up and had to carry it out. We were not allowed to open it while at the con.
Because it's
still kind of it looks like a knife, right? Because they don't want people. There's that kind of thing going on. Anyway,
so he's grown from giant crayons.
That I'll keep an eye on. But basically, the whole thing is just kind of open this big discussion point out. And it's prompted a lot of people to leave negative reviews on their Facebook page, on C4's Facebook page, which has prompted C4 to send an email out to all their volunteers saying, please leave us a review on our Facebook page, hoping they give. And it wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't like something saying, please leave us a good review. It just said, we hope you had great experiences, and if you have, please leave us a review on our Facebook page to try and outweigh the negative ones, because there's been a rash of negative ones lately. So I don't know. It's tough. People are really frustrated with it. It's a very big event. There are a lot, like regardless of what their numbers were, even if they were down from last year, there were still thousands and thousands of people there, very packed, especially down in the vendors area, like I said. And you know, people just want it to be good, and it's a frustrating thing when it's not good, when people have issues with it. So, on a side note, we sold out our vendor space at FanQuest in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that's, I mean,
that means that you were charging too little.
Probably. No, yeah,
That's
bet you it is probably. But we charge enough to cover the cost of the venue. That's kind of how we come at it. So we're not in it to make a ton of money. But we'll see how that works out for next year, because maybe we did charge.
You got to jack those prices, and then you can get some bad reviews too.
There you go. That's it. That's what I aspire to do. All right.
And of course, you did you say where FanQuest is this year? You did last
here.
time.
It's here at the Edward River College in the Exchange District campus.
Yeah, that'll be good.
It's fun. So now we're going to rent actually the cafeteria, the atrium, the multi-purpose room, and the lecture theater. So all the main spaces here. We were not going to do the cafeteria before. We were just going to keep it as like a space for people to eat. But now we have to. Now we're working on trying to find some more space for tables.
How about the multi-purpose room?
We have that.
You have it
yes,
already?
Yes, we have that.
And the lecture theater?
Lecture theaters where all the panels are going to be. Atrium, where there will be tables set up in the atrium.
Wow.
So we're looking at
great.
having more than 60 vendors. We have like maybe 12 or 13 people on our wait list now. So
we could actually record our podcast at at live from the event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, maybe we could use this space for people who want to do podcasts,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know if I want to let people in here.
Well, you need somebody standing guard.
Somebody else suggested the TV studio for another space. I'm like, I don't know if I want to let people in there. Dean will kill me if something gets wrecked.
As it is, they barely want me in there for my one class a week. They're like, make sure you move all the tables. Like,
Right.
there's always very specific instructions about what needs to happen in that place. So.
All right, final news, nerd news, nerd news story for the week. The Orville has been renewed for season 2 by Fox. Yay!
That's the sound of one man cheering who likes the show.
No, many people. Jill here likes it.
Oh, 2 people cheering.
And Billy, do you like it, Billy? Billy likes it as well.
He's just going along with it.
Whatever. No, and I posted this link on my personal Facebook, and it got lots of people talking and very happy that it's on.
Yes, I saw that you'd posted it, but I thought I have not heard a single person other than you.
Really?
I've only heard...
a lot of people say they like it.
Wow.
Was it Alicia Dacey who works at CBC now, I think? She used to be with the Metro, but she pointed out correctly that the biggest flaw in the show is actually Seth MacFarlane himself. And she's got a good point there. He's not great in his role as the captain of the ship. Everyone else is pretty good, and he's just kind of miscast. Obviously it's his show, so he wants to be the captain of the ship, but they probably could have found somebody better to do that.
I like him. He seems like a likable, nice person, but I've never seen him in a role like knock it out of the park. Like,
what else has he been in as a human, like as a live person?
He hosted the Oscars.
That's right. And and by the way, I saw another post this morning about how he warned people about Harvey Weinstein in a couple of different things.
Really?
Well, there were a couple different Family Guy jokes about, first of all, about Kevin Spacey. And there was another one about Brett Ratner, I think, and then one about, and when he was doing the Oscar nomination announcements, and he announced the 5, best actress nominees. He's like, "Congratulations, ladies! You no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein."
Right.
And that was like meant as a backhanded thing, because Weinstein apparently made a pass at his friend or something that was unwanted. So anyway, but yeah, the Orville. I mean, I like it. It's got potential. I think that like almost every Star Trek series. It does not have a great first season. If you go back and look at the first season of Generation or Next Generation with the clean-shaven Riker, that's always a sign that it's not going to be a good episode.
Oh, really?
That's
the sign.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anything with the clean-shaven Riker, even that movie where he shaved his beard. Remember the one, Insurrection? He shaves his beard in that because he wants to feel younger, and that's a bad movie. Yeah. So Riker needs the beard in order for that to be good. And even DS9 and Voyager were pretty rocky in their first seasons, but they had 7 seasons. Every one of those series had 7 seasons, and that's a great amount. So I'm hoping that the Orville gets a chance. Although
it's not Star Trek per se.
No, but it's very much like Star Trek. It very much captures the old school feeling of Star Trek, the first series, the Next Generation, and Star Trek itself. The new Discovery show is much more. It's like taking Star Trek to the next level, which is kind of the natural progression for that. But Orville is more of a nostalgia thing. It really is much more, and with comedy and modern jokes in it. So I really, really enjoy it. So I'm very happy about that.
Excellent.
All right, that's going to do it for the nerd news. We're going to take a quick break and come back for our discussion about Facebook. How are we going to fix it on the Media Nerds podcast? Okay, welcome back to the Media Nerds podcast. How are we going to fix Facebook, Kenton?
Well, there was, as everybody knows, probably, who even pays a little attention to the news, Facebook has been in the news more and more. They're testifying up to Congress last week. because they're being finally held accountable for whoever it is that buys ads on their platform, and mostly in relation to how it might have affected people's votes at the election 1 year ago tomorrow. Was it?
No.
But remember the saddest day, the saddest day in Red River College history, the quietest and most depressed the school's ever been.
We recorded an episode before the day of the election, and then we had to go back and record an episode the day after because we were so sure that Hillary was going to win. We're like, we can't just leave it up. We have to react to whatever happens. So we went in and recorded another episode, probably the most depressing episode of the Media News podcast ever.
The school was it was like somebody died.
Oh, I know.
It was weird.
It was very, very strange. Anyway.
I remember the class had an assignment, and it was the half-hearted assignment at best. That day, everyone was just phoning it in for a day.
No, it was not a good day.
Yeah. So, as you know, here we are a year later, and more we're learning about how the foreign actors used Facebook and Twitter and Google, but Facebook is the one that seems to have the most amount of wrath directed at it.
Why? Because it reached the most amount of people?
Yeah, because it reached the greatest number of people, and because Facebook takes very little responsibility as well for what happens there. They're a little bit more like, well, we just let people post information and post some ads, and that's what we do. And they've been up until now very hesitant to do anything about it, and it seems like suddenly the writing's on the wall, and they're going to have to treat themselves like they're what they are, which is a media organization.
I know, and because every other form of advertising, except for web, be it TV, radio, print, or whatever, has some sort of guidelines and standards that they must adhere to. There are laws around what they can and cannot advertise. And I remember learning about that in your class in the advertising major about the Canadian Ad Standards Council and other organizations, similar organizations in the States that monitor and regulate the advertising industry. And that doesn't exist for Facebook or any of these other places. And that's a huge problem.
Yeah, and actually, but this has actually been a problem for all media for a certain amount of time, because I even remember when I did my internship at CJOB, or you worked. You worked at CJOB, right?
Yep.
And so every once in a while, something would happen where they'd run an ad that would turn out to be like a get-rich-quick bait-and-switch scheme kind of thing. It would happen where it was like, it sounded like a concrete company, and then you'd find out later it's like, like the police would stop by for a visit and go, yeah, that ad you're running. They'd be like, oh, and so they'd remove the ad. But because you don't want people ripped off, and it's possible back in the day, even with traditional media, there were people who would use it to rip other people off.
Yeah, but the thing is, those type of organizations, I think, they take the cheapest option available, which is why you probably do see those type of ads like late night television in the middle of the night. You probably still see those kind of ads, and certainly you hear that kind of stuff on CJOB still. I've heard ads that are kind of sketchy that, I don't know what's going on. This seminar by this person who's coming here to Winnipeg, actually our friend Jason Booth, you remember Jason Booth? He works for an organization that helps monitor that kind of stuff, and he tells me that, that happens all the time where somebody will come to town and they'll be offering investment advice, and of course they'll advertise on stations like CJOB, but it turns out to be not a legit thing, and it's more of a scam for people to pay the $100 for the entry fee, and then the guy makes off with all the money.
Right. It's just an excuse to collect money from people who are interested in investing,
right,
who therefore have a little bit of money,
yes,
who therefore are targets for whatever it is.
Yeah. So now the cheapest option is Facebook, is the internet, because you can get way more reach for way less money on Facebook, and that's where all these scammers are going for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and with the Russian ads, and actually there's been some great articles in the last week about it. The Globe and Mail, but their paywall drives me crazy.
I know. I was just looking at that. I'm like, I want to read this, and it was like paywall.
I subscribe to the Golden Mail,
the Golden Mail,
the Golden Mail, and it is golden the way they throw it into my garden every morning.
Right.
But like this morning, minus 20. I'm in my pajamas. I'm like, I'm quite sure I can make it out there, like the classic. I'm quite sure I can get out there and get it.
They don't actually come up to your door and put it in your mailbox?
Oh, it's garbage.
Oh,
it's just like
that's like something out of an old TV show or something. It's like Leave It to Beaver, where the paper boy throws it and hits him in the face.
Well, I'm still living the dream, and not just that, I lost the password. I don't know what the password is to log in online, so I'm still being held hostage to their 2 articles, even though I pay for it. But anyway, they had a good article in there. I think it was on Saturday. On how Facebook ads work. It was the first time, like I do a class on that in second semester for first year students, And it's the first time I've ever seen it laid out for just people reading a paper, like a general audience. Hey, here's how Facebook ads work. So I thought that was new and interesting.
And you don't think people knew that beforehand?
Oh, they don't know.
Okay.
And then because they're shareable too, right? So you might be seeing a friend sharing it. You may not even know it's an ad.
Right.
So that was in there, as well as some of the ads that the Russians had used to, perhaps, I guess Mueller will tell us more, but to sway the election, which to allegedly sway the election.
Right.
So if you look at that, and if you look at the ads, they're volatile. They were run in places designed to create unrest, and you could sort of see how it's a powder keg, how you could, with targeting, with the right targeting, if you want to call it that you could create unrest in various parts of the world.
Yeah.
Wherever you took out these ads or articles, even they appear to be articles.
Yeah, you can write an article, create a website, write something that looks legit, post it. I mean, there's so many websites out there where you literally have no idea what half of them are. And you say, oh, this looks like a real thing. Read it. Oh, I'm going to share this. This makes me outraged. Share it, and then you're playing right into it, right?
Yeah.
And it's an ad, it's just shared post, and that's part of the problem is on Facebook. It's hard to tell the difference between an advertised product and just somebody who wants to get more traffic to their website for a blog post or something like that.
There are many different options for ads on Facebook. The carousel ad, the video ad, the boosted post. There's a billion of them, and we won't talk about all of them here. But the main point is that when you target, that's when you really see the power of Facebook. When you're looking for a target audience, and it's so specific about who you can target with the ad that you're buying. It's shocking, actually, when you go in.
And but I think that there might be. I would love to see information about the type of products advertised using Facebook and how effective Facebook advertising is for, say, a website or a blog or something, as opposed to an event. Because I actually spent quite a bit of money. I spent probably $1,000 on Facebook advertising for FanQuest last year, and we did not get the turnout we were hoping for based on the reach. Like, we were reaching up to 40,000 people with our advertising for a single ad, and we certainly didn't have anything close to 40. And you know that that's like just kind of peripheral in a lot of people, but you're hoping that turns into something. And it did increase our web traffic to our website, but it did not result in more sales of people actually coming down to the convention. So that's the issue. So I don't think I'm going to go that route again. I might do a little bit of Facebook stuff, but I'm not going to certainly sink as much money into it as I did last year as far as promoting it goes. It really seems like the easy way to do it, but I think there is still value in traditional media in some cases.
Oh, sure.
And
credibility.
Yes, that
and
is
trust.
the one. Yeah. And that's what Facebook needs to build for itself now. It needs to build credibility and trust. Otherwise, people are just going to abandon it as an advertising platform.
Or just disbelieve it, or just block it, like we do with every other kind of ad.
Yeah, and lots of times on Facebook, you always have the option to hide this ad because they want to tailor it to your preferences. They want the ads to resonate with you, which makes sense. So I can like say, turn off this ad, I don't like it. And I can do that with almost everything except for YouTube. I can't do it for YouTube, which really frustrates me because I've been bombarded by stupid, really bad channel. Oh man, what is it? Okay, have you seen this viral video from India where the guy says, yes, Papa? And it's like a cartoon, and he goes, eating sugar? No, Papa. Telling lies. Do you know what this is? Do you know?
This rings a bell.
Okay.
I just can't.
So anyway, this video I keep seeing advertised on YouTube, and this is because of what my kids watch on my YouTube account. But it's like a song that is based on that with like weird animated Spider-Man. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and I want to block it. I want to turn it off. I don't want to see this ad anymore, and I have no way. I can skip it after 5 seconds, but that still subjects me to 5 seconds of awfulness because I can't get rid of it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So I wish I could do that on YouTube as well. Just say I don't want to see this anymore and tell them why, so then they can go, okay, this advertisement isn't effective for this audience, and not let the person advertise to me anymore. Yeah, because it really is a waste of money. It really is for that person who's advertising. It's a waste.
We're actually talking. Well, we'll get to how to fix Facebook in a second. Yeah. But you've reminded me of something, and that is people are losing it on Stranger Things season 2.
Still haven't watched it yet.
Okay, and I've started watching it.
I watched episode 1.
And I will say that it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers other people, but they are losing their mind about the product placements.
Oh.
They're losing their mind. And I was like, well, if you're losing your mind, stop blocking ads, because that's what that leads to.
Yeah.
If you block ads and you don't watch ads, or you skip over them, or whatever it is you do, then the alternative to that is having loads of placements in your content. And I've started, and just because of the outcry, it's weird because, product placements work or they don't kind of thing. Like, it's either people accept them or they don't. And it seems like there's been a real backlash on Stranger Things. And now that I know there's a backlash, when I watch it, I notice them more probably than I would.
Yeah.
But I keep reminding myself, it's a throwback. Stranger Things is a throwback to E.T. and all those Spielberg movies. And those were Reese's Pieces in E.T. Like, it wasn't any different.
I think that's what the Eggo thing was meant to be in season 1. And that wasn't something they talked to Eggo about, apparently. That was just a thing they threw in there.
Well, wait till season 2.
Well, I know, I'm sure. And that's the thing.
You'll see.
You take one thing and it works, you're going to make it work even better by adding 10 more things that are going to be. So I don't even want to guess at what they are, but I mean, whatever. It's pretty. Was it Swanson? I saw something at the end of the first episode where they're eating a frozen dinner or something like that. I don't know if that was meant to be one, but the thing with product placement is it has to seem natural. It has to seem like it's a part of the story. And that's what Reese's Pieces did. Eggo waffles did. It was like, okay, E.T. likes Reese's Pieces. Great. 11 likes Eggo waffles. That makes sense. But to throw more and more in it, I laugh at the ones I remember going back to like 24 was how all the bad guys in 24 use Windows computers and all the good guys use Macs.
Right.
There's another one from Fringe that I thought was hilarious. It was for Sprint and for some new phone from Sprint, and they're actually doing a video call where he holds up the phone to talk to his boss. And it's just like, nobody uses the phone like that. Come on, like, what are you doing? So that was very false. So it has to be something that's really natural and seamlessly integrated into the content.
In the early days of Survivor, they had way more product placements. Like, Jeff Probst was far more inclined to be like, who wants a Mountain Dew? And people would be like, oh, I'm dying of thirst. Like, I will die if I don't have that Mountain Dew. And they're like, ha, 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 ha. Mountain Dew's like, perfect. But lately, I've noticed that they've held back on that. Now they'll just as easily compete for like the pig roast barbecue, like unbranded,
right?
Unbranded. Because remember, Outback Steak
was
on there. Like, everything was on there, and then slowly they started scaling back. I think because it started to become like, wait a sec, what's this show about? And at a certain point, you got to figure out, you got to get the balance just right.
And the Amazing Race Canada had a similar thing happen with the Mentos. Remember the Mentos things? Where like shake, shake, shake. And you see the Mentos the whole shot was black and white except for the Mentos container there, and it was like, that's too much. And they pulled it back, although everything was all about Chevrolet. And the Amazing Race Canada is always heavily branded with stuff.
It's horrible. It's if you want to, it's a glimpse at the future of the Amazing Race, probably in the U.S.
Probably, yes.
I'm sure they test it all out in Canada, but it's unbelievable.
Everything is branded in that. Dairy Queen, your challenge is to make some blizzards.
Let me get my BMO credit card, like, as they look into the camera. And it's rotten. It's rotten to the core. It's
not very good.
No, and doing this screen black and white with the Mentos is brutal. But in any case, back to the original topic, and that's Facebook. The New York Times. You have it up on your laptop.
It here, yeah.
And I sort of made a little short version notes in front of me here. But they had a really good article. What's the headline there?
How to fix Facebook. We asked 9 experts.
Yes, and so they've got people from all walks of the tech industry, and it's great. It's a great read, and a lot of the stuff that they recommend, I think, would be a really good idea. Some of the stuff I don't know, but one of the things. So should I just go through the list?
Yeah,
here?
Go ahead.
And one of them is get rid of the emoji that's currently there. Any emotion-based emoji.
Yes,
and make it about trust. Only trust or respect emoji. And basically, you can only trust or respect something that you see posted, as opposed to all of the whatever reactions. And
I never liked the reaction thing. And I'll tell you a quick story.
It's true. It's not. I don't like it either.
There was one person. So we sold out of our FanQuest tables, and there was one person who was very unhappy that he did not get a table. And we were like, talking to him on messaging, and he was just kind of angry that he didn't get in on time, and they went so quickly. We were like, oh, well, we didn't realize that this person wanted one. Anyway, so this other person says in a comment underneath our post, "I'm so excited to be tabling at this event. Great thing." And so this one person that's very upset made a frowny face. on his thing, and he goes, I don't know what I did to deserve a frowny face. Like, it's this whole thing. So it's like, okay, well, you know, that's what those emojis have left. People wanted a dislike button. They really wanted a dislike button on Facebook for years, and that's what they gave us. They gave us the frowny face.
The frowny face. And sometimes I'll just post the jobs on Saturdays and someone will do a surprised face or something. You're like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah. Why are you surprised?
Sorry to surprise you this way by posting some jobs. So there is something to that, how we're communicating in a dumber and dumber way.
Oh, yeah.
Until we get to, like, how dumb is it going to get? I mean, this is about as dumb as it's ever been.
Most of the time, if I like something on Facebook, it's not necessarily because of the content. It's because of who's posting it. So I'll like your job postings because it's you posting it. I want to support you. And
likewise,
and
I do the same thing.
So it's not about, I don't care if there's jobs. I don't need a job. But that's something that I think, you know, I like that you do, so I'm going to like it because you do it, not because of the content of the article.
Right. Well, there's always that confusion, too, about what am I liking? Right. Am I liking the person? Am I supporting the person? Am I liking the content?
Yeah.
Am I, Grandpa died, like.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
Okay, I think that's where all those other emojis came from, too, so you could express sadness and everything else. But it's dumb. And so I like that first, we get rid of those.
I'm also not a big fan of the emotional marketing thing. We had a guy come in for the BAM conference that talked to us about emotional marketing. His agency specializes in it, and it seems manipulative to me. It really seems like something that is not like, I think going forward, advertising and marketing is all about being genuine and connecting with an audience at a genuine level, being honest, being yourself, being a good person, hopefully, or a good product. And that's it. We're not about manipulating people into being scared or angry or that. And that's what this guy was doing with like news promos and stuff. He was showing us some examples of like a news promo that gets people mad about something happening. The crime is up in your neighborhood, so watch our newscast to learn more about it. That kind of stuff. I don't like that at all.
No,
so I think that's not something that's a great way to go.
Well, and sort of further to your point. Another recommendation is Facebook should aim for 100% verification of people who use it.
How are they going to do that?
That's going to be hard, but they could aim to. I think the person in the article is sort of says, hey, it's an aim. It's a goal. It doesn't mean you got to do it right away, but it's something that if you had 100% verification, I mean, it can be done. It's just like you need to verify your place of business to have a page on Facebook. So similarly, if you had to verify your name to an address, but then, we're leaving out the homeless people when we do that, I suppose.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be issues. But the homeless person with the Facebook page, I don't know. Does that person exist?
I don't know. Maybe they could crowdfund some money and they could get themselves back on their feet again.
They can wait in line for an iPhone 10 on someone else's behalf.
That's right. Oh, people were doing that in New York.
Know,
people sit in the line for them. Okay, and just quickly off that point, I just see another piece here from Fortune magazine that says Facebook admits at least 12% of its accounts are fakes or duplicates. So that's also part of that problem. I've noticed an upswing in spam on Facebook. There are people clicking on links that spam out to other links and that kind of thing, which used to happen on Twitter all the time, and now not so much. So there's more of that. There's more of these weird spammy bots like liking statuses and trying to add me on Facebook. And it was like, I've just noticed more of that in the last few months. As opposed, it used to happen all the time. It was funny. Every year we used to have kind of a rash of that because our first year students wouldn't know how Twitter worked. And there was the old, you're not going to believe what this person is saying about you link. And so they would click on that link, and that makes you tweet it out to everybody, and it works like a virus, right? So that doesn't happen anymore, whereas the Facebook side of it is happening more often.
Oh, it sure does. And by the way, part of that 100% verification was the suggestion of a filter to block unverified accounts.
There you go.
Just turn that on and block the unverified.
Yeah, that would work.
That's interesting. Yeah. Many of the suggestions fall under the banner of transparency. Like, they're basically saying, okay, Facebook, tell us how your algorithms work. Tell us how your data targeting works.
They're not going to do that.
Tell us how you remove offensive content. Tell us how you get or why not get feedback from users, and explain the decision-making behind the changes in algorithms. That'd be really interesting.
It would be, but I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to show, because the real reason for the algorithm is so they can deliver more advertising to us.
Well, it's like saying, hey, KFC, we'd really enjoy you more if you gave us your 11 herbs and spices.
I wouldn't. I don't care.
And if you ever change those 11 herbs and spices, we want an update, and we want to know the thought process behind the decision-making.
No, it's delicious. I don't care. I love KFC.
The 11 herbs and spices of Facebook is the algorithm, so they're never going to release it. But But I mean, I like the idea.
I guess you're right. It would be very interesting to find out how that works.
Someone else said, okay, how about open Facebook up to researchers for transparency purposes? Like, let researchers study the data.
Yeah.
And let at least researchers understand how it works. And that way, when you have research reports done, that you can still have scientific research. I like that idea. They also, somebody also had the suggestion that Facebook should optimize time well spent. So in other words, stop the impulse likes and the impulse like go, and instead stress hope and the long-term aspirations for people, as opposed to
there's got to be a way to promote quality content over quantity. They're always trying to promote quantity,
That's
seems.
what they're always doing.
And I find myself more often than not scrolling through Facebook kind of going, what the hell am I doing here? This is nothing going on here. But I do it all the time. We just kind of fall into a habit of looking at our Facebook feed and scrolling through it, liking a few things as we go through the feed. But I would much rather spend half an hour reading an article that someone posts there. I don't, by the way. Most of the articles that people post there are like 2 minutes long. Like, it takes me 2 minutes to read through it. But yeah, I would much prefer quantity over quality. And quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody had a great suggestion of go back to the vintage, or have the vintage Facebook setting in which likes weren't a possibility.
You can do that. You can go to archive.org.
Yeah, but I mean literally within Facebook, and change it. Basically, the conversation is stopped on Facebook. That's what they're saying. It's all emojis back and forth, and it's no longer as rich in terms of discussion as it once was.
Like I said, that post about the con, that negative post about C4, that has like the thing is the algorithm keeps it going, so it's getting there's a lot of discussion underneath it, under Kid Remington's post specifically, and every day it just keeps coming back because the algorithm keeps pushing it back to the top of the feed because people are still commenting on it. So in that case, it's working, and it is working in some cases depending on the topic. But you're right, most of the stuff is just like, smiley face, frowny face, shocked face, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see what I could do. I mean, I like going to archive.org to see what things look like. You can go in there and type in a website and see what it looks like in 2000. You can see what it looked like 10 years ago. So I'm going to see what I can do here.
I'm sure it'll look, layout-wise, it'll look bizarre.
Because back when it used to do remember they used to do the first person, so-and-so is doing it, we'd have to speak about ourselves in the third person rather. They would see Dan is something whatever, right? Why can't I get the picture here?
By the way, and look for this as well, because someone else says return to the chronological news feed. No more algorithm news
I would
feed.
love that. That would be so awesome.
I'm on board that.
I think that's great.
That's my favorite thing about Twitter.
Yeah. And even I'm starting to get annoyed with Twitter and Instagram with they're using the algorithm more and more, Instagram especially. I have to log in.
I don't mind what Twitter does. I don't mind the tweets you might have missed or whatever. I kind of like that, to tell you the truth. But Instagram is off because all I get is Winnipeg Jets scores from 3 days ago.
I'm logging into Twitter from 10 years ago.
Let's see it. Twitter or Facebook?
Oh, sorry, Facebook.
Okay.
I wonder if it's my password from 10 years ago.
You have to use your password from 10 years ago?
I'm just joking. I don't know what my password was 10 years ago. Yeah, it's kind of neat. I've done this for YouTube and stuff, but I guess not with the login stuff. I can look at this. See, it looks it's so funny. You look at this stuff and there was it was just all about the feed. It was poking was still a thing. People used to poke each other all the time.
Oh, poking. That was stupid. Yeah, that was
dumb.
That
was stupid.
That was stupid.
What else? What else? What else is in your thing here?
Old people loved it. So that's
sure.
how you know it was stupid. Increasing human oversight of advertising targeting.
Yes, absolutely. That should be a no-brainer. You have to have people involved in that.
Right. And they say, for instance, political ads should be more highly scrutinized than T-shirt or hair products or something, which are just commodities. Basically, the political stuff needs human oversight.
I think it all needs human oversight. Mm-hmm. I think they should treat it just like a television station or a radio station or a print publication where there's always some physical human being looking at the advertising before it goes live. And that's right now they have an algorithm doing it, right? So that's not the way it should be. There should be a real person, and yeah, it's going to take a lot longer, but the quality of the ads will be much, much higher, and the less crap will get through there. And of course, less money for Facebook because these sketchy ones won't get through, but hey, that's
what you got to do.
I think that's what to build the credibility of it. You have to do that.
Well, over the long term, if nobody can believe anything on your stupid site,
right.
That's not good for a long-term brand.
No kidding.
And lastly, the very last suggestion is Facebook should become a public benefit corporation and always take the public benefit into account. basically exist for the good of people as opposed to be misused and to be there for the good of the.
Well, I think that ship has sailed when they went public. I don't think that you can.
Well, there's examples of very successful companies that haven't, that have their, what do you want to call it? Have their moral compass, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, even Google says don't be evil, though. I guess you could argue that they have been
maybe
at times.
Depends on your point of view. Yeah, I guess there are companies like Lululemon. Is that one of the ones that does kind of preach sustainable,
bunch. Yeah, sure.
blah, blah, blah.
The Body Shop,
Yeah.
That's like one of the oldest examples, like that idea.
Yeah, I get you. So it's still for profit, but their philosophy is all about making the world a better place.
Right.
And still make money at the same time.
Right. Like, well, Apple's pretty good at doing that, too.
Except they use, there was people protesting the iPhone 10 launch with, iSlave in China. In China, the people were protesting because of the places where they make those phones, but... Yeah, I guess, and they always say it's sustainable products and that kind of stuff, so they try to maintain that as well. Yeah, I guess I see
that idea.
Yeah, I guess that would work. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the list, and I do think some of those are easier than others, but
sure.
I think we're going to see renewed scrutiny on the dominant online forces like Facebook and Google. I think those being the top two, and it wouldn't surprise me to see regulation one way or the other start hitting.
I think so. I think they should regulate the entire internet, not just Facebook. It should go across the board.
Then we're going to get into the old problem of the CRTC, like giving us Canadian content on the internet.
I don't think the internet falls into the CRTC. I don't think
it doesn't yet.
No, it shouldn't. It should
That's
not.
Right.
That should not be their purview. I think it should be something else, a separate agency. The internet is so big; it should be a separate agency created to monitor the internet. You know what I mean? For each country, I guess, which is, it might be too late for that. They should have gotten them on board with it years ago, but they didn't. So
the Manitoba alcohol guidelines for advertising, they actually pertain to everything, to every media.
Oh, there you go.
Everything from a sandwich board to online to whatever. So it's possible that you'll have various organizations looking into that stuff. But in Canada, the Competition Act, that would cover deceptive and misleading advertising. So,
but I don't think they look at Facebook for that stuff, because I see deceptive and misleading advertising all the time.
I still think it would have domain over the online world.
So you would have to report it, though, right? People would have to report
it. It's not just was somebody actually deceived or misled, but could it mislead or deceive
That's the question.
Someone? Yeah.
Right? But like many things, they don't act unless someone reports something, because they can't monitor everything, right? So, and they don't see all the ads that everybody else sees.
That's true.
Same thing as the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. If somebody swears on the air and says something offensive, someone has to report it, or else it goes by without being punished, right? So it's not legal to swear on the air, but it is. If someone complains, then you have a problem. You get a fine or something.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But Facebook, I generally don't use Facebook very much anyway. It's not my favorite one. Not even close. Not my top three. Now that I think about it. Remember, I'm still pinning stuff on Pinterest. Remember, I'm the last guy. I'm the last man standing.
Oh, you like the Star Wars stuff on there, right?
That's right.
So
exactly.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if any of this stuff happens. It certainly is an interesting time, and I hope that somebody starts regulating this stuff, because we certainly need it for the advertising sake.
We're going to be seeing more and more of this stuff in the news moving forward, and especially as the Mueller investigation continues. We're going to see all kinds of stuff about how Facebook and Google and Twitter, to some extent, were involved in what happened in the election a year ago.
Yeah.
But it'll also change the way I roll out in class next semester, when you kind of go, look how easy it is. And I've heard some people say, well, the Russians only spent $100,000, so that's not that much. You're like, what you can do for $100,000 with Facebook ads?
Yeah.
You can reach a ton of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable. Organically and shares. And
that's the other benefit of this, is that maybe this will result in internet advertising going up in price.
Could be.
So that would help out the traditional media a little bit more, because it won't see internet advertising wouldn't seem as easily accessible to small businesses. Like, they might go with traditional media over internet if it was around the same price.
It could be, but once again, it's all about reaching the eyeballs. As long as everybody's looking online.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that. But if I'm a small business owner and I've got $5,000 to spend on advertising for the year, I don't know if that's a realistic number or not. Am I going to spend that on a TV ad, which will give me like the production of a 30-second spot and maybe a couple weeks worth of placement, or I'm going to spend that on a full like 6 months of advertising on Facebook, right? That's the difference in price. It's incredible how cheaper Facebook is than everything else. So maybe if the price evens out a bit, then that person might consider TV a little bit more, because I think TV is still valuable depending on what you do. And that's another topic for another day. The TV advertising has gotten crazy. The amount of banners I see now on those shows, man. I tell you,
it's all over the place.
Just like a web banner ad on a TV show.
That's right. My favorite is, as I always like to say, whenever Raiders of the Lost Ark is on, it's like, oh, the Ark, their faces are melting, and it's like, oh, they're at the bottom. It's like, show up at Dufresne or something comes popping up, and you're like, well, that took me out of that magical moment. Yeah.
All right, let's do recommendations for the week. Do you want to go first?
You go first.
You always tell me to go first.
You know why?
Every time.
Because I'm always fighting in my head about which one that I should, which thing I should do. So
I
need a minute.
I have a definite, clear cut recommendation to make this week, and that is to go see Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, you saw it?
Theaters. I did go see it. I took the whole family, or the kids anyway. My wife didn't want to see it, but I took the kids. And they loved it. Shannon got a little bit bored. She said by the end of it, she's like not really into it, but certainly Jack and Luke really, really enjoyed it, and I did as well. It's quite good. It is quite enjoyable. It is.
There's surprises galore. I heard, but I have not been spoiled.
Lots of fun. And to me, I mean, I always liked these movies. I know a lot of people didn't like the second Thor movie. I thought it was okay. Certainly not my least favorite Marvel movie. But the first, I really like the first Thor movie, and this kind of caps it up into makes a nice trilogy. 3 Thor movies. I don't know that they're going to do any more. It'd be Thor 4. Thor 4. Not the same as Thor 3. Thor
3. That's the last time we can ever make that joke.
That's right. But no, it's quite. Now, the interesting thing about it, this isn't a spoiler because we all know the Hulk's in this one. So they had to bring the Hulk into the Thor franchise to make it, I guess, appealing to audiences or something, because it's done way better than any of the other Thor movies and way better in box office and all that other stuff. And
timing's everything,
I guess timing is everything. We have, again, the other one coming out in a few weeks. We've got Justice League coming out in a few weeks, which looks like it has a completely different tone. It's so weird how the tone completely differs between these two.
Featuring Wonder Woman prominently now that she's popular.
Yeah.
Now she's the star.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Sorry, Ben. No brooding Batman for us.
We didn't get a standalone Batfleck movie, so that's part of the problem with that. Anyway, so yeah, Thor was really good, and it's directed by Taika Waititi is his name, I believe.
Right.
So he is the director of What We Do in the Shadows and
Hunt for the Wilder
People, which is a really good movie. And there's another one that I haven't seen yet. I can't remember what it was called, but somebody else recommended it. And so he's done a couple movies. So this is kind of an example of, again, one of these kind of like these newer breakout directors who had some successful indie hits coming onto a big budget tentpole film. And he did it really well. So I guess it's another Rian Johnson, right? Rian Johnson did the same thing. Who else? What's another good example of somebody that did that? I guess Joss Whedon, you could say, because Joss Whedon had only had one other film before he did Avengers. So that's the good example, not the dude who was.
What is that dude's name? Are you looking it up?
I want to see it because
Trevorrow.
Trevorrow. That's a Colin Trevorrow.
Oh God,
because he was going to be on episode 9 of Star Wars, and now he's been fired, and JJ is coming in. So this is the thing where they bring in these directors, and I think that it seems to be kind of a we think he can do it, or hopefully she can do it. They'll bring some more female directors doing this kind of stuff, but it's like whether or not they can actually kind of adapt to the high pressure, high budget situation that making a movie like this is kind of it's always kind of up in the air, but he does a great job of it, and it's as much a comedy as it is an action. If I've heard any complaints about this film is that there's too many laughs in it, too many comedy bits, but it's fine. It's Thor has always been kind of a comedic.
That's what saved character. The first movie for me.
Yeah,
I was not interested in seeing stuffy Grecians. Stuffy Grecians.
Well, they're
talking
Norse.
That's right.
Norse gods.
It just seemed that way. But I thought I always found the comic book for Thor just to be so stuffy and horrible and self-important and terrible.
Yeah.
That I had no interest in the movie. And then when I actually saw it, I was like, oh, good, they're making fun of this goofy character. And that's when it went from being like, who cares, to like, yeah, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, then what you're left with is just no fun at all. You have to have fun with that character. One
interesting other thing about it is that the lady Sif is not in this film. They could not give. I don't remember the actress name, but
that's too bad.
They did not give her enough notice. She's shooting what's her show she's on where she's got all the tattoos.
Xena?
Blind Spot. Blind Spot is this hit show on NBC.
Oh, that?
Though she's the girl with all the tattoos that she doesn't have a memory.
I didn't know that.
No. So that actor, they didn't give her enough notice to bring her on board, which I would have assumed would have been not a huge role because the Warriors 3 do not play a big part in this one. And obviously she's like, no, I'm shooting my TV show right now. Why would you give me no notice to come in and shoot what I'm assuming is a small part? So she said no, so she's not in the film.
Oh,
but the Warriors 3 are. The rest of them are.
Good.
So it's fun. It's a really good movie, and I'll go see it again. For sure, go see it again. I was actually underwhelmed. I saw it in regular, not 3D, but at Kittleton Place, they crowned it to a tiny theater, the smallest theater in the whole building. So I was kind of underwhelmed by the effects, but it was still fun. We still enjoyed it.
Oh,
so
that's great.
Thor Ragnarok.
Good.
Go see it.
All right, I've decided. I've been battling in my mind the whole time. Which one should I? And the one I'll recommend is CBC is actually showing something that I just didn't think that it was on anybody's radar. But Top of the Lake Season 2 with Elizabeth Moss. Season 1 went by, and I don't think CBC had it. Nobody noticed it. And I read about it in Q Magazine saying there's no better show. I think they named it maybe Best Show of the Year. Maybe that was 2 or 3 years ago already that it first aired. So, and creepy, and with Elizabeth Moss, kind of almost like Handmaid's Tale territory.
Okay.
Like creepy and dark.
Was this made before Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now
after Mad Men, before Handmaid's Tale.
During
Mad Men. Okay.
So same time, and so I guess when she was off of Mad Men, she was shooting that.
Okay.
And so season 1 is great and bizarre and well worth anyone's time. But season 2 is called Top of the Lake China Girl, and it refers to something going on in the plot. I don't want to spoil it, and especially if people haven't seen season 1.
Okay.
Don't want to spoil season 2, but I will say that not only is Elizabeth Moss in it, but Gwendolyn Christie from
nice.
Captain Phasma herself is in
Brianna
there.
Tarth.
Yes. Oh, so
I think of her more of Brianna Tarth because you don't see her face in Star Wars.
And there has been some great stuff in there, but once again, it's a head scratcher until all the pieces are in place. I think it's on demand on CBC right now because I missed one of the episodes and I could just catch up and watch it. So it's really an excellent show, like so well made. It's a Jane Campion production. I think did she make the piano? Piano? I think she did with Winnipeg's own, what was her name?
Anna Paquin.
Anna Paquin, yeah. Fresh off
she lived here for like 3 months, and that's, of course, ever since she's from Winnipeg.
Fresh off the MTS commercials.
That's right.
She won the Oscar. I don't know. What order was that? Nobody knows. But anyway, it's such a good production. It's on Wednesdays on CBC, I think.
Cool.
So Top of the Lake, China Girl.
That's I don't need another TV show, but I will watch it anyway.
I know nobody needs another one, but
so many to watch. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Media Nerds Podcast. Go to MediaNerdsPodcast.com for our full podcast, blog, and social media channels.